Колеги, доброго дня. Розпочинаємо.
Dear colleagues, we would like to start our working day. Our speaker today, as usual, Andriy Lysenko, Colonel of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, speaker on behalf of ATO Command. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. We have very good news. For the first time over several months in the ATO area, we had no casualties among our forces. All of them are alive and intact. The third stage of withdrawal of heavy military machinery is in progress. Yesterday, to the prepared positions, the missile Wi-Fi systems, Hurricane, Huracan were withdrawn, and we can see the loading on railway platforms. And we would like to remind you that 100 millimeters anti-tank cannons Repam were withdrawn, MT-12P Ruta and 152 millimeter artillery Acacia units, Grad Hail missile. Ukraine expects reciprocal steps on the part of the opponents. According to the statistics, though, the ceasefire regime is sabotaged by the militants. Yesterday, the ATO positions were fired at from all types of weapons for 46 times. Yesterday we had 3 engagements between Ukrainian military officers and the adversary. Fortunately, all the attacks were repelled without any casualties. And the situation is still disturbing at Donetsk, Artemsk and Volnovakha. The most active operations of militants we can observe at Avdiivka. Yesterday our positions were fired at 10 times. Today, after the midnight, 3 times. At 4 a.m. there was 1 shelling of the artillery from the adversary side. The adversary is focused on restoration of combat resonance, regrouping of capabilities, improvement of logistics for supply of weapons and munition to the control and territories by rail mostly. Today, the 18th so-called humanitarian convoy entered the territory of Ukraine at 5:40 to 600, 540 and 600. Through Matveyev Kurgan, Russian Federation, speaking to Ukraine, 23 lorries passed with foodstuffs. The Ukrainian side had the opportunity to visually control the movement without any control and clearance functions. So this is all in breach of international Ukrainian legislation. The militants are arresting the accomplices and sharing the booty. According to the operational information, Oleg Bereze, who called himself Minister of the Interior of the Next People's Republic, he is accused of embezzlement and fraud, financial fraud. The jewelry and cash was seized at $3 million US. The conflict is deepening between so-called Don Cossacks and LPR information. There was an attempt against Bondarenko, who is commander of Andriy, and is subordinated to chief of Cossacks because it's in Luhansk Oblast. Security Service of Ukraine apprehended informer of LPR who worked at one of the district courts. He would collect information, mobilization, dislocation of the armed forces and their capabilities, and also information on apprehended militants. Such information was used for planning of armed attacks against the military officers of Ukraine and their veterans. There's documental evidence of meetings with the LPR militant where the informant is registered. He was promised to be head of so-called traffic police or PR. Instead, this person is facing a long imprisonment. And also, Ukrainian operatives prevented a set of terrorist attacks in the south of Ukraine. Members of Russian Orthodox Army, the so-called Russian Orthodox Army, planned to blow up in Kherson office of two Ukrainian NGOs with 3 kilos of pesticides. The courier was apprehended in Odessa with the explosives and apprehended yesterday in Kharkiv as a result of a mine explosion and the car explosion. In that car was Commander of Battalion Special Force Slobozhanщина Andriy and his wife Inna, who is also an associate of the same unit. The investigation is in progress. In Donetsk Oblast, the infrastructure is being restored. Infrastructure destroyed by militants. According to the information provided by the State Service of Emergencies of Ukraine, 10 communities were cut off electric power in Lysenko district, and through the Green Corridor, the restoration works were done on 5 air wires of electric power transmission. In Donetsk Oblast, and the detachment of Ukrainian rescue force examined 600 square kilometers of safe roads and provided 10 tons of humanitarian aid. The restoration works in progress in Luhansk Oblast. Last week, the officers of State Service for Emergencies and utility services restored the distribution electric grids at Stanitsa Luhanska and Volvyska, and also in Popasna and Stanitsa Luhanska. The restoration works are in progress and repair works are in progress. The mobile save and rescue center of the State Service for Emergency of Ukraine and the Red Cross organization of Ukraine provide 4 tons of humanitarian aid for Popasna. The combined detachments examined the territory to find safe ways to remove people from dangerous territories. All these districts, as we know, full of unexploded ammunition, and there are mines with a stretched line which are dangerous for the people who are not trained for that. Ukrainian armed forces officers are helping the locals. Despite ceasefire, there are odd firing at Ukrainian communities, Marinka and Krasnohorinka in particular. Officers of civilian military cooperation, the armed forces of Ukraine, together with volunteers, provided humanitarian aid to locals. First of all, foodstuffs, bread, the warm blankets, the mattresses, and hygiene necessities. And Ukrainian officers, together with the locals, map the hideouts where people are hiding, and then provide these places with all the necessities. Yesterday, 63 combatants from Lviv started for ATO. This is not their first time in the ATO area. And also 50 police officers from Chernihiv Oblast went for rotation to the ATO area. They will do police work, solve crimes, and provide assistance to the locals. The U.S. are supporting Ukraine in its fight with the invaders. President Poroshenko had a meeting with Antony Blinken, who is visiting Ukraine now. The American diplomat expressed his admiration of courage of the Ukrainian people and the Ukrainian army in the face of the aggression, also emphasized the necessity to maintain close cooperation for implementation of Minsk Accords. According to Antony Blinken, further sanctions against the Russian Federation and the degree will directly depend on compliance with and enforcement of Minsk Accords. And now a traditional story on our military officers who are on guard over peaceful life of millions of Ukrainians. And on the eve of the International Women's Day, it's naturally about women. This is Anna Marchuk, Major Yulia Turanska, and the senior soldier Yulia Kimchuk from the 80th Special Air Mobile Brigade. These girls are ready to do everything that the men can do, and sometimes even better than the men. The crown of our unit, that was the introduction provided by Major Roman Saida, head of the unit. Communication officer Yulia Kimchuk never regretted her choice to defend Ukraine. We are doing the same thing. We are combating the enemies of our state, so we are helping each other. We do care about our honor. When we are together, no enemy can defeat us. Our life of a person is an invaluable gift, unique and special. That's opinion of Anna Marchuk. Here, Russian mercenaries are killing and wounding Ukrainian warriors for protecting their land. And this is a bloody crime against all the humankind. All my skills and all my knowledge I will employ to save our heroes, she says. I'm also ready at any time to take weapons and together with other combatants of our unit to fight with the enemy, says Major Yulia Turanska. Every year we do military training, but for a year now we haven't trained, we've just fought. For real participation in the military operations in the east of Ukraine is a real test for us. It's about our strength and our devotion. Thank you very much. Are there any questions to Colonel? Tell us, please, what's the situation at the Horvivka, Dzержinska, and is withdrawal of heavy machinery still in progress? I'm not prepared to say what's happening right now. My information is as of yesterday. Matromroz, the 5th channel. Is it known how much we lost in the Balsova? Some people say that 343 vehicles, 190 already serve DPR. This information is not summarized, is not ready for casualties and losses in our capabilities and our people who are taken prisoners or missing. This information is not summarized, and this we cannot say that anything is final. On a Savchuk Press TV channel, what's the situation with the withdrawal of weapons by the Ukrainian side? And when will we be able to say that this process is over? According to the Minsk Accords, there's a fortnight, 2 weeks to withdraw to the lines of positions recorded in the accords So we expect this to be done by us in a timely fashion, and the same should be done by the adversary. We do that with all the necessary coverage with the mass media and international monitors. This is an open process in our situation. Other, I can, as a follow-up to this, the hurricanes, the Urahan systems, are they withdrawn? Yesterday they started that process. Tell us, please, the firing and shelling is ongoing. Either we, whether we withdraw or not, what difference does it make? Shelling firing is in conflict with the Minsk Accords, because point number one is ceasefire, not just for some part of the line, but it's comprehensive and should be according to the accords. And at any point, we are prepared to start the process of comeback for our weapons and ammunition of the caliber over 100 millimeters if the adversary tries to attack, and we are prepared to repel that. Our representatives of OSCE are there all the time. They inform. They're informed in advance on all the processes. They come to the point where the convoys are formed. They can take down all the numbers, and they know the route. And this is the open information. And the militants, what kind of weapons do they use? It's usually done for this provocation's sake, usually small arms, grenade launchers, and mine and mortars. If a sniper hits one, it's called firing. Schweiz Council activists, Maidan activists, have you got any information that Ukraine is prepared to employ the defense regime, make a comprehensive decision? That should be done by president, not just mobilization, but the emergency state, the martial law, and logistical arrangements for the volunteer battalions and the regular armed forces have the opportunity to manage special enterprises. We have a whole set of activities and documents that have been enforced by President, and there are some decisions that are still drafts in order to respond to the situation that can worsen overnight, worsen critically for us to respond to aggressive activities of the adversary. All the drafts are ready, all the decisions are prepared, and we can enforce them, bring them into force at any point. Thank you very much.